Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jerry to Movies with your host Jerry Saravia. I'm briefly going to talk about certain things I didn't mention earlier when I recorded my review of Raiders of the Lost Ark the IMAX experience. And I was so caught up in the experience of the movie I didn't fail to mention some of the details that I had noticed. One I had mentioned was the fact that Jock, played by Fred Sorensen, in the film, who's the pilot, that he has that little blue patch on his shirt, which I didn't notice before, and it says Jock on it. Some people brought up other things that I haven't really looked at the original DVD, but other aspects I did check out, and one that's considered to be the fault of either the projection or whatever you want to call it is at the beginning of the picture, when Indiana Jones and Satipo, played by Alfred Molina, they first enter the Peruvian-temple. And it's essentially a cave, and it's in silhouette. He's holding the torch, Satipo. And just after Indiana Jones kind of pushes aside all this spiderweb and enters, begins to progress through the temple, it seemed that something was off in the focus a little bit. And it looks like when Satipo's holding the torch, his face is leaving traces of itself. It almost looks like not quite a double exposure, but almost. It just has a weird effect to it. And then when it cuts to Indiana Jones and you see his back with the tarantulas, also a little bit off there. Then it seems like it's back to regular focus. Now I looked at the original DVD, or I should say a DVD of the movie that I have, which is the version that was released in 2008 as part of the four film box set of all four Indiana Jones movies. And actually that scene looks almost exactly the same way in the DVD. So this was a problem when they shot the film. This was not a problem of the projectionist or the way the film was expanded to a 70mm IMAX format, considering it was a 35mm. So that is actually a problem in, if you like, the original film negative. I don't think that's something they could really fix. It just becomes more apparent in IMAX. The other shot is the Washington Monument scene, which is right at the tail end of the film, the epilogue, after Indiana Jones and Marion presumably leave the island, of course, with the Lost Ark of the Covenant. And there's a shot which was not shot for the film Raiders. It's footage, an exterior shot of the Washington Monument in the background from a 1975 film called The Hindenburg. So, and in that shot, it looks a little bit soft focus to it on the DVD, and then much more apparent blown up for IMAX. So again, that's really not something you can't fix really the focus in a scene that's already in the negative. You know what I mean? All you can do is clean it up and restore it, of course, but you can't change the focus. Or at least I don't have the technology to do that. I don't even know how you would do that anyway. And that brings up another thing which I had always noticed, because as most of you may know, Steven-Spielberg shot his movies, almost all of them, in wide-angle lenses. And in particular, the scene, as Indiana Jones and Marion are coming down the steps outside of this government building. Well, there's one other aspect that I just noticed too, which I'll get to in a second, but shot from a low angle, looking up as they're in the steps, you can see that it is a real wide angle, and they focused predominantly just on the two of them, because everything else is kind of a soft focus a little bit. But one other thing I noticed about that scene is not a technical detail, but a character-oriented detail. And that is when Indiana Jones is coming down the steps, and then he talks to this guy who initially I thought was Marcus Brody. I don't know what Marcus hands him, if it's a payment or an envelope or what, but shakes his hand or something. I don't know what is happening there. But I thought that was Marcus Brody initially. And that's some other guy, whoever the hell he is. It's not Marcus Brody. And when I've seen the film, I don't know how many times, and I always assumed that was Marcus, played by Denholm Elliott, who passed away in 1992, unfortunately. But it's not Marcus. Um, I think that's really about it. One other issue that I think has been corrected, which I didn't notice until somebody pointed out on a YouTube video comparison, shot-by-shot comparison, is in Raiders during the truck chase, Indiana Jones kind of pushes this one vehicle, a Jeep, off a cliff, and you see the shot, which is a matte shot of a cliff as it kind of pans down, and you see the vehicle fall into the abyss. Apparently for the DVD, which I did notice, for the 2008 DVD release, re-release, they modified the cliff. They added something to it. They made it much more enormous, or whatever it is. It made it even look more like a cliff. And apparently now for the IMAX film and for Blu-ray, they went back to the original. Now I guess that's a George Lucas intervention. I don't I don't know why he felt the need to change that. Of course, most people know the glass partition between Indiana Jones and the Cobra had been eliminated, taken out with CGI a few years back. So those are the main things I noticed, and I just wanted to bring those up. Of course, if any of you have noticed anything else in particular about the IMAX presentation for Raiders, or just DVD little details, please bring them up. I'd be happy to maybe learn something I hadn't noticed before. So I've seen this movie one too many times, but I still love it. That's all I gotta say. This is Jerry at the Movies with your host Jerry Saravia, signing off.